The Cupra Performance brand has landed in Australia, and for many this is the model that is really piquing their interest. It's called the Cupra Formentor crossover. It's not directly related to any existing Volkswagen or Skoda products, even though they're all under the same umbrella. But we've come to the Sydney Motorsport Park for a bit of a taste test. Let's check it out. Cupra officially lands in Australia from June this year with a 3-model lineup that will eventually expand to 4 with the addition of the Born electric car in early 2023. Of those models, it is the Cupra Formentor crossover that is registering most interest for the Volkswagen-owned performance brand. With pricing starting at $50,690 before on-road costs, the 4.4 metre long Cupra Formentor occupies something of a unique space, and in flagship VZx form driven here, it brings a strong performance bent as well. Our test car is a New Zealand specification model but provides a good indication of what's to come in June. It packages the Volkswagen Group's familiar EA888 2-litre turbo petrol 4-cylinder engine with 228 kilowatts and 400 newton metres on offer via a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission and all-wheel drive. Now, the good news about being based on that MQB platform means that the Cupra Formentor is able to spin off a lot of existing technologies. And when you jump inside the cabin, you get little inklings of Golf, you get almost a little bit of Lamborghini or Audi with these 2 buttons on the steering wheel. But the car, importantly, still has its own Cupra theme going on. It's a really nice, comfortable place to be. Being based on the Volkswagen platform, there's plenty of inherent incidental storage and hidey holes, and space is nice throughout the cabin. The sporty theme of the Formentor really does transcend the cabin as well, from the different stitching, the materials and contact points, to just the way you sit inside the seat. You sit nice and low and you've got decent vision front and rear. We'll reserve full judgment on the interior and safety aspects of the Cupra Formentor until a more formal road drive in Australian specification cars. Until then, an empty Sydney Motorsport Park awaits. Okay, Cupra Formentor SUV. We're in the flagship 228 kilowatt model at Sydney Motorsport Park, which seems like a really unlikely place for the launch of a crossover, but we're here with the entire Cupra range. Now, immediately this car feels closely aligned with other Volkswagen and Skoda models. I've just stuck it in Cupra mode. You can probably hear some of the synthesized noise coming through the cabin. But just like those donor cars, well, donor in a way because this is a size of its own, great modulation of all the key controls. Everything feels really well damped, really well refined, and nicely executed, even on a racetrack for quite a big SUV. There's a lot to like about Volkswagen's 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine. A little bit of hesitation upon taking off out of the pits, but once you're up and rolling, the gear changes are really quite clinical. 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission, and it puts its power down quite admirably. I love that the Dsg responds quickly to commands, even when you're sort of banging through the gears approaching a corner. Ultimately, it will override. It won't let you stick to a manual mode and dictate exactly when and how it changes its shifts. It will eventually override, which is one little annoyance, but I guess that's more of a performance car trait than it is, you know, a car also masquerading as a big 5-seat SUV. But certainly, there is a lot to like about this package. Coming on the main straight now at the Sydney Motorsport Park, the old 11-corner GP layout. I mean, there's 190 kilometres. Now at the 200 metre marker, that's 210. And if I throw it into turn 1, a little bit of bobbing and weaving, but I have to say, pretty composed under brakes. Clinging on nicely through the corner, minimum speed there of 155. Everything feels really well tied down, controlled and composed. Ultimately, this isn't a track day weapon, and nor should it be, but it's a great exercise in demonstrating the bones of this car, and that is Volkswagen's long-standing MQB platform. It works really well, telegraphs everything really well on the circuit. There are limitations to it, obviously. The brakes start getting a little bit longer in the pedal. The Bridgestone Turanza tyres on this car have their
limitations as well, but for all intents and purposes, this is a really fun, playful little SUV, and you know, as silly as it sounds coming to a circuit, I think quite worthwhile and just demonstrating the strengths of the Formentor SUV.